differentiate estuaries and lagoons. 10 मार्क का क्वेश्चन है, 1.5 पेज में निपटा देना है. Think of an introduction. Introduction. Estuaries and lagoons are important. They are shallow ocean habitats. They're part of the coastal features associated with shallow waters. They're shallow, ocean habitats. They're coastal features associated with shallow waters. Estuaries and lagoons are high productivity zones. Productivity of more than 1,000 grams per meter square per year. The areas of very high productivity. So this could be an introduction. Diagram mein, it's your choice. You can use a schematic. So you could say narratic habitats, estuaries, lagoons. Write some points here, write some points here. This could be one. Or you could draw maybe the map of India and then say, lagoons, Chilka Lake Lagoon, Pulicat Lagoon, Ashtamudi Lagoon. You have got Vembanad Lagoons. Lagoons of India, estuaries show along the river mouths. So Ganga wala region bata do aap, Krishna, Godavari, Kaveri region. You have some of them along the western side. Mangalore pe hai, Mumbai pe hai. Narmada and Tapi pe hai estuaries. So you could use this schematic as a diagram, or you could draw this map of India and show estuaries and lagoons of India. आप ये भी कर सकते हो. मुझे एक diagram चाहिए after 20-30 words of introduction. Then you start off differentiating between them. So maybe first write about estuaries, explain. Now estuaries का दो type का discussion है. So estuaries ka, there are two things. One is estuary as a landform. As a landform, this is submerged river valleys. They are river mouths. If you talk in terms of landforms. If you talk in terms of habitats, these are shallow water zones with mixing of saline and fresh water from the rivers. अगर आप landforms के साथ बात करें, estuaries are submerged river valleys. If you talk in terms of habitats, these are shallow water zones with mixing of saline and fresh water from the rivers. Therefore, we say, estuaries, these are at the terminus of rivers, where rivers end, terminus of rivers, where the fresh water of the rivers interacts with the saline waters. So this in short is explanation for what are estuaries. अगर आप देखना चाहें textbook में, textbook, this is chapter ocean habitat वाला ही, page number 350. It says estuaries defined as a partially enclosed body of water where salty ocean water is diluted by fresh water from land runoff. River runoff is the most common agent of dilution of the salty water. You can take up some sentences from here. And we have estuaries. So by that sense, almost all river mouths can be considered, or deltaic regions may be considered as estuaries. इसका आप examples दे दो. What are the examples? So, Narmada estuary. We have got the Ganga. हालांकि Ganga is covered by lot of sedimentation. Okay, estuary, Amazon ka estuary, Hudson Bay ka estuary, 4-5 rivers will be sufficient here. Now, in contrast, you talk about lagoons. Okay, now lagoons are semi-enclosed, okay, waters along the coast that are relatively isolated from the open seas. The semi-enclosed waters along the coast, they're relatively isolated from the open seas, and unlike estuary, they have relatively less or no, okay, mixing with fresh waters. They're isolated, okay, they are semi-enclosed, okay, and unlike estuaries, they really have relatively less and no mixing with the fresh waters. And examples may give examples. Chilka Lake, Lagoon, talk about the atoll lagoons, Bernard lagoons, और lagoons के बहुत सारे formations हैं. Lagoons can be because of corals, lagoons can be because of bars and spits, and lagoons can also be tectonic. Okay, I mean, the land is such that some water gets trapped here, tectonic. Estuaries can be because of, again, okay, because of water inlets. Estuaries also because of bars that trap some water. They can also be because of fjords, F-J-O-R-D. Fjords are the submerged glacial valleys. Tectonic ones we have along the coasts of Gujarat. Okay, because of the immense upheavals, Gujarat coast ke saath mein we have some tectonic lagoons there. Like Kutch region is something like a tectonic lagoon. It's bigger than a lagoon. It's something like that. Okay, so what are lagoons and what are estuaries? So main difference is estuaries mein fresh water mixing hota hai, whereas in case of lagoons, okay, there is lesser amount of fresh water mixing. And then you talk about the significance. Significance or conclusion को आप एक साथ रख सकते हैं. Estuaries can be because of inlets. Okay, ऐसे inlets हैं along the coast. Along the coast एक ऐसे inlet हो गया, ऐसे inlet हो गया. Okay, example बताता है San Francisco Bay is something like an inlet like this. It can be because of a bar. Okay, some sand bar here, and there is a river draining here. So this area can have mixing. It can be fjords, F-J-O-R-D. Fjord is a submerged glacial valley. Okay, so differentiating estuaries from lagoons. Okay, you introduce the idea, give two diagrams, write a paragraph or so on estuaries, and while writing about lagoons, you are comparing. You compare while writing about lagoons or significance conclusion. आप एक काम और कर सकते हो. If you want to have a bit more of an impact, you could have a table here. Write estuary, write lagoon, coastal features. ये भी shallow waters हैं, ये भी shallow waters हैं. This is where fresh and saline water mixes. This is no mixing or relatively less fresh water. Number 4, it can be a river mouth, it can be bars, it can be fjords. These can be, okay, because of bars. These can be because of corals. Okay, lagoons can also be tectonic. Estuaries में, because there is fresh water, will estuaries have corals? No. तो यहाँ पर ये important distinction है. Estuaries में corals नहीं होते. Okay, lagoons can have, okay, there are corals in the tropical waters. Okay, significance में दोनों केस में high productivity zones. This also is the high productivity zones. So table में एक type का summary बन गया. You have a type of summary. And remember, both estuaries and lagoons, they are one category of wetlands. Okay. एक और difference है. Estuaries में the diversity in estuaries, the diversity of life form is less. If you compare estuary with lagoons, okay, in the estuaries, the diversity of life forms is far lesser. Okay, compare lagoons. Lagoons they can be very high biodiversity. Khaskar, if it is a coral lagoon, then it is almost like rainforest of the oceans. If it is a coral lagoon, it is almost like rainforest of the oceans. Ecological significance, the need to conserve and manage, and maybe marine protected areas ka concept mein, okay, talk about the conservation. 357 mein, there's one column which is on the biological activities in the estuaries. Biological activities of the estuaries mein, ecological significance, talk about conservation and management of the areas, wetlands. Okay, so you could also mention here, you could mention Ramsar, for example, like lagoons जो हैं बहुत सारे Ramsar Convention के अंदर में आते हैं because they're part of the wetlands. And you can talk about again part of the marine protected areas. Now I will give you a generic question. ये आपका काम होगा. This is an open question. Write a note on significance of marine ecosystems. So I do not want to explain this to you. ये आप अपने आप try करोगे. Okay, try it on your own, and then I will take the discussion forward. Okay, 10 marks, 10 marks. You will not write more than 2 pages. 1.5 page is also good enough.